The Philippines plans to deploy its own maritime militia to defend its sovereignty amid a raging territorial row with China, the Filipino Armed Forces chief said Thursday as he visited an island on the front line of the sea dispute. Reporters who accompanied General Romeo Bronner Jr. on his tour of Palawan asked him if the military would deploy maritime militia forces as part of its transition to territorial defense from traditional internal security operations. Yes, it's part of our plans. That's part of our reserve force development, the head of the Armed Forces of the Philippines replied. When we say reserve force, it's not just land-based forces, so we are also trying to develop our reservists who will be able to operate in sea, he said during his visit to the AFP's Western Command in Puerto Princesa, without releasing details about the militias. China and Vietnam, which are among other countries with overlapping claims in the South China Sea, are known to operate fleets of ships and boats crewed by militia members. Bronner said the military had established reserve units for deployment to the West Philippine Sea, Manila's name for the South China Sea waters within the country's 200-mile exclusive economic zone, EEZ. It's already being implemented. We have established reserve units, but we are going to wait for the platforms or the vessels that actually would be used, Bronner said, emphasizing that the way forward depends on the funds. Bronner said there were plans to deploy ships and aircraft to guard the EEZ and establish the military's presence in the sea. We want to use our fisher folks as reservists. We are going to teach them how to help us defend our country, he said. Bronner said the military also needed funds to improve its facilities in the West Philippine Sea. In 2020, diplomatic tensions between China and the Philippines escalated with Manila's discovery of large numbers of Chinese militia ships, which appeared to be trawlers, clustering within the waters of the Philippine EEZ. On Thursday, Vice Admiral Alberto Carlos, who leads the Western Command, said more than 400 foreign fishing boats, mostly from China, were intruding into the country's territory. Carlos said about 190 of these boats were in the vicinity of the Chinese-occupied Mischief Reef, which is about 134 nautical miles from Palawan or more than 600 nautical miles from China. It's more than 400 fishing boats based on the last monitoring. That's foreign vessels incursions in the West Philippine Sea now, Carlos said, referring to the most recent check on Wednesday. This is inside the EEZ. Maybe 85% of these are Chinese. That's my estimate based on my information, he said. According to Carlos, military leaders suspect that Chinese fishing fleets are in fact Chinese militias. He noted the involvement of 2 Chinese fishing boats during the harassment of 2 Philippine Coast Guard and 2 supply boats near Ayungin Shoal last week. Our suspicion is they are militia vessels taking orders from the China Coast Guard. The incident shows that they seem to be taking orders from the Chinese Coast Guard, Carlos said. Bronner went to Palawan Island amid a flurry of defense and diplomatic meetings that followed the incident at Iungan Shoal on Wednesday. A spokesman for the country's task force on the West Philippine Sea said the Philippines and its defense ally, the United States, were in the final stages of an agreement to launch joint patrols this year in the South China Sea to deter encroachment by foreign ships. Apart from China, Vietnam, and the Philippines, parts of the South China Sea are claimed by Brunei, Malaysia, and Taiwan. The Philippines on Sunday accused the Chinese Coast Guard of excessive and offensive use of water cannons to stop a Filipino-supplied boat carrying food, water, fuel, and new army personnel to a Philippine-occupied shoal in the disputed South China Sea. The Philippine Coast Guard, PCG, strongly condemns the China Coast Guard's, CCG, dangerous maneuvers and illegal use of water cannons against the PCG vessels, the Philippine Coast Guard said. Condemning the belligerence allegedly shown by the Chinese Coast Guard, the Philippines Armed Forces said the Chinese vessel's actions were in wanton disregard of the safety of the people on board and in violation of international law. The encounter between the Filipino boat and the Chinese vessel took place when Philippine Navy personnel were moving towards Second Thomas in the Spratly Islands, according to Philippines officials. Because of the clash, a second chartered boat was unable to drop supplies, military spokesman Colonel Metal Aguilar said in a statement.